This is Don't Panic, episode number 388, recorded July 8th, 2024. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Don't Panic, the technology podcast on Gadgets, the Internet, and you. I'm Sean Jennings, joined by, when it's hot outside, they're keeping it cool, Colby Rabideau, Dan Miller. Gentlemen, good evening.
Yo. Good evening. Is this a multi-camera setup you have going on now?
No, I'm just never satisfied. And so I have gone from the above camera to the above monitor to the side view in an effort to get the good side of my face.
How did you identify the good side?
Yeah, and this incredibly expensive, one-of-a-kind...
It's beautiful.
Breathtaking. I got at the art store.
Ooh.
Art store? My antique
like the Container Store
wicker chair.
For art?
Basically, yeah. There's some factory in some far-off land that makes them, in bulk. So...
Wow. Cool.
There you go. A whole new view.
Over COVID, there was a person streaming Smash who had these. He did the best tricks with the multi-camera views and the cutting, where he'd do like a really cool thing in the game, and you'd be seeing him from like the dead-on perspective, and then it would like switch to a camera up here, and he'd be like, and it'd switch back.
I'm always impressed.
Different cameras that represented different things. Like he'd turn, he'd talk to the person he just beat sometimes. He'd turn, he'd talk to the audience.
Yeah, I'm always impressed by the guys who have the Stream Deck.
Oh, yeah.
With all the programmable buttons, and so they do it, with OBS, and they really... Oh, Dan, I didn't know you had a Stream Deck.
I don't use it for anything. I use it to mute and unmute Zoom. That's it. Which it is useful for
fun.
That, but... I need to find more stuff to do with it someday when I have more time.
You got to program a button that, like, when you push it, it like electrocutes Colby or something.
Well, right. The classic. Speaking of our picks, the classic Dubai Friday episode, the best episode of all time, or maybe the second best episode of all time. The one where they get the Internet of Things electrocution boxes and connect them to each other.
I think it could be a lot of fun, and they could just have a button with Colby's face on it, and you can just push it, and
then somewhere Colby will be like, "Oh, Dan's thinking about me." Colby knows this right now. Whenever I send him the little shortcut we made when we were at a conference together, my GIF sender.
You could hook that up to your Stream Deck.
That's true.
Can it run Apple shortcuts?
Maybe. My understanding, oh my god, now I need so many permissions to run my Colby shortcut.
Okay. It works. What permissions did you need? Like,
oh man, the GIF doesn't work anymore.
Oh no!
I sent Colby the worst text ever. Hey Colby,
here's a GIF, Giphy, and our partners use cookies or similar technologies to process or store personal data. Wow.
I got cookie bannered.
Brutal.
Yeah, what's going on? That's pretty much, I don't know. It's been warm. What happened? 4th of July happened.
Mm-hmm.
Had some peeps over. Hung out with friend of the show, Bob Nisco. He asked about the podcast.
Bob's the man.
Bob Nisco.
Love Bob.
I said
maybe my favorite Twitter account.
Yes. Oh my god. And
he is. It's all steak, no sizzle. No, wait. All sizzle, no steak. No, it's all hits. All gas, no brakes. There you go.
Yeah.
He's a must follow.
Yeah. And it is tragic that A, he's still on Twitter and not on anything else, and B, that his Twitter is private. But I guess that makes it all the more special.
Yeah, you got to know the guy.
Yeah, I posited to Bob that we might have I'd be curious if we have the record for the highest ratio of episodes to global unique listeners of all time of any podcast.
Is that an accomplishment?
Sure. They make a Guinness Book of World Records for anything.
Oh my god. Yeah, that is it's
if someone can get a record for beating Elden Ring blindfolded with Donkey Kong bongos, then I think we can get a record for this.
It's like one. We've done one episode for each listener, and we're proud to have supported them. Too funny.
Epic.
No, I wish I could pretend anything interesting is happening in my life. Dan, you said you had something going on with bicycles?
All right, so yeah, I have this multivariate bike calculus happening.
Okay.
Where we want to rent bikes. But in order to rent bikes, if you don't live in a city, or if you want to, I guess if we wanted to rent bikes and ride around Seattle, that would be one thing, but we don't want to do that. You need to have a way to transport them. And we're going to be in a group of people, and so we'll have more than even 2 bikes. And so my understanding is they make bike racks, in air quotes, that sort of sandwich between your trunk and just stay up with leverage, basically. But none of those bike racks support more than 2 bikes. And what if we decide to rent e-bikes? Because e-bikes are cool. But then what do you do? And so anyways, that's just, I keep going back and forth. I'm like, well, what if we don't rent e-bikes, then it might be easier. And then I'm like, but we still might not be able to do it at all. And it's just one of those things in adult life where you're like, I want to go ride a bike. It's like, okay, well, how are you going to get the bikes from where you're renting them to where you're going to go? Oh, well, I don't know. We have a car. It's like, yeah, but do you have the right kind of car? Do you have? And then you're like, okay, well, screw it. I'm just going to go all out. It's time to get one of those tow hitch bike racks. Well, A, I don't have a tow hitch, so that's another like $1,500 right there. And B, I learned that at least on the Tesla cars, I think probably because the batteries are so heavy, there's an amount of weight that the cargo weight capacity of like amount of weight you can put in the car or on top of the car. Separately, there is a tongue weight, which is the amount of weight that you can hang off the back of the car.
Mm-hmm.
And that is less. And it's like, I don't know, 200 pounds or 500 pounds, something, right? But then you look at the tow hitches. Okay, you want a tow hitch, and you want to be able to carry, say, 4 e-bikes. That's going to be a heavy tow hitch. How much does each e-bike weigh? About 50 pounds with the battery. Sometimes you can take the battery out, sometimes you can't. It's like, okay, so that's 200 pounds right there, plus another potentially 200 pounds of rack, and now you're again sort of stuck. So I don't know. I can't imagine that either of you, Sean, you might have experience with this. You go to Vegas, you rent cars, you might tow things sometimes.
What? No.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely don't. But
You visit people who build decks. They probably have tow hitches.
But I don't ride bicycles. I'm a grown man. Now, my question for you...
Whoa.
I'm an adult.
I have a car. No, explain to me renting a bike. So are you renting these for like one-off specific situations?
We don't have bikes. So this weekend, for instance, we wanted to go bike riding. And it turned out it was way too hot, so we didn't. But we wanted to go bike riding around this lake, but we don't have a bike. So that's like example number 1.
But you don't think you'd get enough value to buy the bike? Is that the idea behind renting it?
Yes. So here's the thing. I think now we're like really popping the stack, as Merlin would say. I think that I do want a bike, but I need to prove it to other members of the household, or not prove that I want it, but prove that it would be fun and useful. Which is part of the reason why I want to try the e-bike, because bikes are fun to ride around if you're riding around a lake. But e-bikes are useful if you want to do other things with them. Mm-hmm. And actually, this leads me to my third problem. I don't remember if we talked about this, but I don't think this is quite the right audience. But maybe Colby would know the answer to this. If you were one of these people and you're like, down with cars, I'm going to be a bike person, and say you wanted to ride your bike to a concert, where do you put your bike? Your potentially $2,000-$3,000 e-bike. Where do you put it? Do you just chain it up to a speed limit sign on the side of the road? Because like sometimes there are the U-shaped bike rack things. Most of the time there isn't. But I need to start like training myself to look for them. Can you park them in a parking garage?
Sometimes parking garages have a bike parking area. Like a lot of like, or at least around here, like office buildings have like a bike room or at least a bike section off of the parking garage. I feel like when I was riding my bike to work and stuff, I would usually just put it out. You know, like there was like pretty close to work. There were a bunch of bike rack lock thing, not racks, but like the things. There was like a parking lot. Of,
The rings
like,
in the ground that you can attach the bike to.
exactly. So I would do that.
So when you came back from work, would you ever be like, "Oh, I'm going to stop at the grocery store"? Would you ever like take? Oh, okay.
Once in a while, yeah. Not
And-
He would ride the bike right into the store and just grab things.
I've
as,
seen
as he
people
went
do
down the
that
aisle,
with the
I'm
folding
sure.
bikes. I've seen
I've
people
seen people
do
do it
that
with rollerblades, which is always impressive.
Oh wow.
And I'm sure. Guess that's an option. No one's going to steal it then, I guess, but that's not always an option. I don't think you can do that in a music venue or a concert hall.
I feel like something. Well, first of all, if you have an e-bike and you were going to a concert, I feel like it might not be the right choice.
But this is so frustrating because the concerts are so close to me. There's such a pain in the ass to park at because everyone else is going downtown for the concert. It feels like the perfect use case, and I'm often sadly going by myself. So it feels like the perfect use case.
Yeah.
But okay, that's good to know.
I feel like I often, when I see e-bikes parked on the street too, the battery has been removed.
Yes, I saw that in New York.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Also, I mean, if you get a regular bike, it doesn't cost that much money.
Yes, but the hills in Seattle.
Right. Yes, I'm remembering the hills in your neighborhood in particular.
That hill where you you start to take it and then everything in the trunk slams against the back. That one I'm worried about.
Now, Dan, you strike me as the kind of guy who would be down for a Vespa. I think if we got you a little scooter, beep beep, a little scooter, it's bigger than a bike. You can go further distances.
Yes.
Gas powered, and it's a car replacement.
Yes. That would
Take
be
it
cool.
off-roading.
The thing that I like about the bicycle, and this might be a Seattle thing, is it's kind of like skiing. It's like, oh, your friends are going bicycling, and if you don't have a bicycle, again, it becomes a huge pain in the ass to go bicycling with them. So the e-bike feels enticing because it's like, oh, this could be a recreational vehicle, like a kayak, like a thing you use on the weekend for fun, and it could be a thing you use to get groceries sometimes.
I got it.
That's true.
I know the solution to your problem. You have to go to where do the bicycle people hang out? Where's the cool bicycle
Outside
spot?
of my old apartment at 5:30 a.m., shouting about which turn they're going to take.
Outstanding. You got to go there, find somebody that's the same Tesla you do,
Won't be
and
hard.
just pepper them with questions. You got to like it's that peer pressure sort of like observatory type behavior where you just watch what they do, and I bet you'll figure it out pretty quick.
That's a great idea. I should just go to one of these bicycling places and then look for the other Tesla Model Ys and see what sort of thing they have attached to them. Yeah,
What
that'll
crazy
answer that
rig.
question. I remain interested in the because it seems like e-bikes make a lot of sense if you're commuting to and from the office. Your office has like a parking garage or the bike chain thing, or you can bring it into the office like people did that at Etsy. But I don't have an office to go to, and so I want to use it to go to other places. I want to use it to go to a museum. I want to use it to go to a show. I want to just hang out downtown. And how do you do it then? Colby, I feel like there's got to be lots of bicyclists in Boston. Is this taking off, like the e-bike thing taking off as much as it is here?
Yeah, there are. I feel like the thing about Boston is there's not like we don't have the hill problem
Right.
that Seattle has. So like, I mean, obviously there is terrain, but none of it is quite so insurmountable. But there totally are. I mean, like there's like e-bike, blue bikes now, like the city bike things.
Yep. We have those too.
So like lots of people ride those. I think several of my coworkers have e-bikes. People do it.
Yeah.
They're around.
All right. Well, I'll report back when I finally get to try it.
You could. So the thing that's happening right here in the zeitgeist is that the Vespa riding delivery drivers have gone like full Mad Max. Like there are no rules for them any longer.
Right.
They go like every direction, like any surface is fair game.
Riding up the walls on the apartment buildings like
Totally,
Tony Hawk.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's in a way it's impressive if it wasn't so scary. We've seen them get hit by cars and then they kind of just like get back up and drive on. It's pretty wild. That could be you if you implement Sean's plan.
That's the other thing I worry about is actually riding the bike in a city.
Well, you get used to it.
Dan, I'm going to share my screen here because I think I have a great solution because you're kind of between, right? You're kind of between a bicycle and a car, right? You want some of the benefits of a car, some of the benefits of a bicycle. Here, available on Alibaba for a very reasonable $580 is the quadricycle.
Nice.
Which is basically
for tourism / lovers.
Absolutely. And you're both. So this will work out. It's a 4-seater.
It's got shade.
It's got a fantastic cover to it. And you pedal it. And I could see you going around the streets of Seattle in this bad boy.
Yeah.
You could get one of those bar bikes for like bachelor parties and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And then when your friends say, "Oh, we want to go bicycling," you'll be like, "Great, I've got the bike." You can load them up.
Now, how come? Yeah, this photo has the cool purple model instead of the green. I like the.
I believe you get the blue if you buy it.
Oh, okay.
So it does come different.
I don't see blue represented in any of these photos. I see green and I see purple.
Oh, there's the blue.
Oh, okay.
Look at that, beautiful. And of course,
I
they
would want it so that it is convertible. So when it senses water underneath, pontoons deploy, and it becomes one of those paddle boats.
Oh, now that's an idea. Now there is a 1-star review for this. I don't recommend this company, and this bike because quality is poor and some parts are missing. What's worse is their service after sale is terrible. So
I don't think that's worse. I think actually the part of the bike is broken, it's missing parts. I think that's pretty worse.
Bad.
But
get the tandem. You think Lena'd go on a tandem bicycle with you?
Probably, I don't know. Lena is a little bit skeptical of the bicycling, so maybe she wouldn't, or maybe she would, and she'd find it more palatable. I'm not sure. That's a good question.
It'll be fun.
Alibaba. I never think to go on Alibaba.
That's Google all day. The new totally useless Google results where they just shove a bunch of crap all over the place led me there.
Nice.
But anyway, well, Dan, you have to report back.
Yeah, I will. Sometime
Let us know how it goes for you.
before July is over, I'm going to go ride a bike, and I'm going to transport that bike somewhere, somehow.
What if instead of bicycles, you got unicycles?
They'd fit in the car.
They would fit in the car. And, oh, yeah, someone else was saying, like, oh, you take the wheels off of the bikes, and you can fit a lot more bikes in your car. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. But it doesn't help if there are 4 people in the car. If there are 4 people in the car, and at least my car, there's no amount of bicycles I'm going to be able to fit in that car.
No.
A unicycle, my dad can ride a unicycle. I did not inherit that just genetically, unfortunately, so I'd actually have to learn.
Darn.
And it sounds painful.
Yeah. Roof.
Well, good. Well, glad
Imagine
you're getting out.
unicycle. Do they make those actually?
Oh, absolutely. You've never seen the electric unicycles? They're crazy.
No.
You got to pull. I'm not joking. You got to pull up a video of these things.
Oh, okay. I've the ones that you just stand on. I see that.
Yeah.
But I want one where the seat's up really high.
Oh, you want to watch them balance?
Yeah. Or
That
it
would
self
definitely kill
balances
you.
like a
Like a Segway?
like
You could just get a Segway.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, I don't think the bicyclists, like if my friends who are into biking were like, "Hey Dan, why don't let's bike this trail," and I show up on a Segway, I think that might jeopardize the friendship.
Well, listen, Dan, again, don't give in. Just because the cool kids are riding bicycles, it doesn't mean, remember what they say, just say no to riding bicycles.
Yeah. Get in the car and drive there like a gentleman.
Yeah, yes, like a modern man. You laugh and you fly by them on the highway. Excellent. Well, unless there's any other banter, we do actually have a topic for this evening. It's been a couple episodes since we had a theme or an overall topic. In this one, we're going back into the archives, which was a lot of fun. Looking back in the day, there's something we used to do on the show. We haven't really even done it this year. We did something called Picks. The original theory way back on episode 1 is at the end of each episode, we each pitch something that we were interested in. It could be a product, a website, a service, a piece of media. Could be really anything. Colby certainly tested the limits of what could be a pick.
I noted that in some of my notes here.
Yeah, there was some abstract in there. But 388 episodes later, we have a lot of picks in the backlog. And so we thought we'd go through some of the picks of the past and recount some ones maybe we liked, we didn't like, they were memorable, some interesting observations, and those sorts of things. So I don't know if there's any good place to start.
I came up with much the same categories as you just described. I had another category I noticed, which were things that have been picked multiple times. And
Yes.
I'm sure I missed some, but here are the ones that I found. The IT crowd, Civilization the video game. I wrote author. I don't know what that means anymore.
Authy, maybe?
Oh, Authy, yes.
Yeah, that one makes sense.
Thank you. The Expanse, Roderick on the Line, All Trails, Scythe, Colby picking Far Cry games, Wild Wild Country, Three Body Problem, and Flighty. The most recent one that we picked twice by me.
Yeah, I was about to say, it was interesting to see how many times, different people picked the same one, but then the same person picked the same thing, years later.
Well, Colby picked Flighty originally.
I did know
Did I
that.
really?
I think so.
There-
And I think Colby has also picked every Far Cry game. No one else has picked it.
I
I
actually
actually
wrote
haven't.
Flighty.
I just
Yeah, it
I
was
just
Colby.
looked. I just looked at the record. I don't think I picked the most recent one.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that you picked all of them. I meant to say any one that was picked by you.
No, I mean
Yes.
I mean to say I'm slacking on the job.
Oh,
right.
you got to play the new one. You got to pick it.
Yeah.
I did note, Dan, one thing, because I didn't. So I went through the sheets, all the tabs. And so there was stuff written in there that didn't always get into the actual website. One of them is Colby and I separately, years apart, both picked ginger beer. Just ginger beer. So I did make a note of that. I thought that was amusing. Good pick, which I haven't had in quite a while. I would love to get some. There were definitely a couple. I did note, Dan. So I also wrote the dates and the episode numbers. Dan, do you recall when you first picked Smash Brothers?
Yes, in fact, I wrote that down
Did
as
you
well.
log that?
I did
September
log it.
2015, episode number 104.
Yep.
Dan picking Smash Brothers, and I think you picked it one or two other times. The time you went to the tournament.
I
You
picked
picked a
the
tournament.
the 2016 World Championship. I saw.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And Sean, so my overall impression was that I was most likely. I made a list of things that I still use or think about all the time, and a lot of the things were things I picked, which makes sense. Colby was by far and away had picked more things that I still use or think about than Sean that you picked that I still use or think about. But I think Colby's were more likely to be abstract and yours were more likely to be funny in retrospect. Like, I think you really pushed like some wacky stuff that was fun to talk about.
Yes.
So I appreciate.
Yeah, and I think, Dan, you certainly picked a lot more of the software stuff. Colby, both of you guys did way more like books than I did. You're well read. And Colby just picked a lot more objects. With
Colby's
scarves,
an object-oriented
he picked
kind of
scarves once. I'm trying to think of what some of the other abstract ones were.
I still buy that one.
The weather.
The weather.
No, Dan, I agree. The recommendations from you guys, actually, it's pretty split. I wrote a list of like all the stuff I still use. Dan, you picked Overcast in July of 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Colby, you picked the Eufy motion-activated night lights back in August of 2019, which are I have both the stick-on version and the wall outlet version, and they're excellent. Dan, you picked the OXO chopper scraper thing for vegetable, when you're like chopping. Do you know what I'm talking? I have one, love it. March of 2020.
Is that just the thing with the long piece of metal on it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's great.
That thing's Dan's shampoo.
I don't use that shampoo anymore, unfortunately.
I still do. From November 2020.
It's great.
The Ember Mug, Colby, episode number 302 in February of 2021. I love my Ember Mug. Dan, you recently last year in October picked Crouton.
Yep.
Which I love.
That was my most recent thing that I still use, yeah.
That thing is awesome. So Flighty was another one. So there was some really good stuff that we picked over the years that I still use.
Yeah. Now, who do you think, I don't think this is measurable, but who do you think picked the most now defunct things?
Definitely Sean is my guess. I did write some of these down. So Sean, you picked Vestaboard, which is still around.
Yes,
And
I do still see those.
Vestaboard, and I was like, "There's no way this thing is still around." And the website loaded right up.
Yeah, that thing's cool. I'm still jealous I don't have one.
Oh, so you never actually got one?
Oh, I should point out, I probably hold the record for the number of picks of things I thought were cool but never actually bought. If I bought everything I picked, I would be a broke lunatic.
I also really liked, this was a prophetic sort of pick, Pagaray, the NFC payment smart straps for Pebble watches, where
I wrote Pebble on my list that I picked back in 2014.
So yeah.
Still maybe my favorite tech gadget of all time.
But I thought it was interesting, like it sort of predicted Apple Pay. Well, that whole contactless payments thing that already existed, but it was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if you could do it with your watch? We'll turn the strap into an NFC reader because you can't, or provider, because you can't actually program the Pebble, or it didn't have like the radio or whatever. So I thought that was clever, but talk about a dead end, unfortunately.
I had a bad run for 2 or 3 years of Kickstarters that went horribly wrong. There was that one.
No.
There was, which just didn't happen. But there was the AirPods case with wireless charging in it before the case actually had what you put it in a case, and it had the little thing on the back. I used it once and it started smoking. I don't know if you remember that. I threw that away. And then I did write a mind. Do you remember Coin? The smart credit card you could put all your other credit cards on from.
I also wrote that down. Yeah,
2013 episode 22. I think I still have that thing somewhere. It's long since died. But
in Colby, you picked
that
Magback.
Magback, is that the iPad magnet thing?
Oh, maybe that's where it came from. It looks like magnetic. They make magnetic stuff. Maybe that's what that was for.
I'm willing to bet that that's what it was, because it was like these 2 sticker magnet things that you put on the back of your iPad and then you could stick it to the fridge.
And another one that you picked that I was shocked still exists is exist.io personal metrics.
I also clicked on exist.io and I was surprised to find that it still exists.
With a blog post in 2024? Am I remembering that correctly?
Really?
Yeah, January 2024.
Wow. Well, I guess they're living up to the name.
Yeah.
Though they did have like a 2-year hiatus between blog posts.
It happens.
Yeah. Allegedly, their public roadmap is up to date. That's what the
Maybe
blog
I should
post
get a
said.
Vesta board. Now I'm looking at this.
They're so, but they're like, are they still like $250, $300?
Well, it says save $300 on their homepage. So yeah, try $3,300.
Oh, man.
Damn, that's too bad.
It's so cool.
It's very tempting.
Every once in a while, I get like a wave of Instagram ads for these. I'm tempted every time.
A white Vesta board would look very chef's kiss in your decor, Colby.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Someday.
Keep dreaming. Yeah, one thing I noticed, I think this may have been the longest distance between repicks, but Colby picked Vivo barefoot shoes on episode 24, and then picked them again on episode 203, which was 5 years apart. So I don't know if you still have your Vivo barefoots.
I do still have them. Or, I mean, not the same shoes. I still have a pair of them, though. I don't wear them as often because they do look kind of weird. The ones I have are like, they're like very sneakery. But I like them. I've actually been wearing them more because my other shoes, I had a pair of shoes that I liked and they were kind of worn out. So I got a new pair of the exact same shoes. And they're totally, they look exactly the same, but they hurt my feet. And so I've heavy sighed, and now I've been wearing my Vivo barefoots around, which is great.
Colby, did you take note of any picks that you still really use or think about?
Let's see, where did it go? Motherfucker. Well, at some point, I picked a pair of sweatpants that is now, like, you can no longer purchase. Actually, these sweatpants are my new, like, red gym shorts.
Your new pineapple pants?
The pineapple pants were pretty short-lived, unfortunately. But these sweatpants, maybe I can find it.
Yeah, they're definitely in there because you called them like your favorite. I remember when you picked those. Were they the Gap?
Yeah. I can't find them by searching. What the hell? In any case, I have this like saved somewhere. I must have just closed the tab or something. But I still have them. I still wear them. I wear them very sparingly because they're starting to get like a little bit like, like if you pull them on too aggressively, you hear like the seams like popping. It's like we're nearing the end of an era. But the Gap doesn't make them anymore, which is very sad. Crushing. What else? I think Sean picked the Wirecutter very early on.
Oh,
and the Sweet Home. It was both back when they were separate.
That's right. I totally forgot about that.
But I also got to give credit to Colby, who on episode number 10 picked Venmo, which I think was like pretty damn new at the time.
I had that in mine too.
Way back. Now, I didn't write down... There were so many TV shows and movies and stuff. I didn't write them all down. The only content that I wrote down was on April 2016, episode 127, when Dan picked the hydraulic press channel, which still puts a smile on my face every time I see it all these years later.
Well,
So
similarly, you picked the little owl Vine, RIP to Vine, and you picked the.
I definitely owe the record for picking the most Vine accounts. That's for sure.
And I think the most novelty Twitter accounts, RIP Twitter, with the Japanese mascot one, and a couple others I remember seeing.
Yeah, those were quite a few that don't exist anymore. As I was clicking, I'm like, oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah,
So those are great. Now, one thing I did find when I was going through, I found a sheet from December of 2020, and in this specific page, it was our pick of the year, and smartly, this lists our picks of the year for 19, 18, 17, and 16. So I thought, so these are like the best things we've ever picked, according to us. So I'd like to read each of you what your 4 consecutive years of picks are, and you tell me if it sounds right.
Okay.
Let's see. Dan, starting in 2016 and working forward, you picked The Witcher 3,
Okay.
Roderick on the Line,
Yeah, that's on my list.
Wild Wild Country,
That's also on my list.
and the Wemo Smart Outlet.
Yeah, I'll add that into the anti-pick.
Oh, you're anti. Actually, I got rid of all my
just
Wemos as
yesterday
well.
replaced all my Wemo Smart Outlets because
Yeah.
they had the last straw.
Yeah, they got crappy really fast.
Yeah.
I had so many of them.
Yeah, they are sadly not very reliable.
That's so sad.
What'd you
happened
replace
to
them with? Out of curiosity.
Well, whatever the Wirecutter recommended, TP Link something.
Oh,
I'm
the
looking over
Casas?
there.
Yeah, those are good.
Okay.
Let's see. Colby, you picked, starting in 16, All Things Hamilton. Face ID.
Is that an abstract pick or was that an actual thing?
No. I think he's referring to Hamilton, the musical.
Okay.
All things relate to Hamilton. Face ID. Vivo Barefoot. And Spindrift. Which I think is a very Colby collection. You also, for some reason, Dan doesn't have one here in the sheet, but your pick of the decade in turning to 2022, your pick of the decade was HomeKit.
Interesting.
Wow.
3 out of 5 of those things are still big parts of my life, I guess.
You're still drinking Spindrift? When I first read the sheet, I thought Spindrift was my pick, and I read the wrong column, and I'm like, oh, that's because I have my Spindrift right here. So,
I mean, I love Spindrift, but it is expensive.
it's falling out of favor.
I only get it when work is paying for lunch.
Gotta go to but the problem with Costco is you gotta like the flavors they have,
Right.
and I can't drink grapefruit, so
Oh no.
disappointing. Otherwise, I would buy it there. And then mine were Philips Hue smart bulbs. Still a big fan. AirPods. Still a huge fan. Wise Cam. I've gone back and forth on it. Sometimes they're not as consistent as I would like, but they're still pretty good. 2019 just says the connected car. I think that's like CarPlay and stuff, which I'm still a big fan of. And then my pick of the decade was Vine, which listen, if I still had Vine and my Pebble watch, I would be the happiest man alive. I just need it to be like 2015 again.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I think Vine is a good segue into a category of picks that I picked out, which was Womp Womp. Things that were a good idea, but that I think were most tragic that they maybe didn't pan out. Or maybe it's just sort of interesting the way it turned out. So one of them was the NVIDIA RTX voice thing. That was a pandemic.
Yeah, you were excited about that.
It was at the time, it was amazing. You took like an audio stream and you took all the noise out of it. It was great. Now everything is doing that. They're probably selling microphones that have it built into the microphone itself. So it was funny looking at that because I remember being like, wow, this is incredible technology. You need like a $1,500 graphics card just to be able to do this. And now your phone can do it. Just 3 years later. That was one. Tavor, the rare beer service. So you go like every so often they send you a new mail and like, here's all the beers we have. And you say what beers you want and you accumulate beers and then you can like cash out and then they send you the beers. But the problem,
I don't remember that.
This was like a good COVID thing because you couldn't go anywhere. And so like, oh, I get to drink beers from Alaska and Missouri and wherever. But it was so much beer. So I no longer use it. But I think it was a good idea. HQ, one of your picks, I think, Sean.
Classic.
Rest in peace, Scott Rogowski, whatever his name was.
Scott Rogowski.
Rogowski. Oh man, that was a thing. They should bring that back. I think people would get excited for that if they brought that back.
like the Battlestar Galactica reboot, but HQ.
Yeah, make it good.
3 years is the new 30 years. Oh, right, the coin. Right, I wrote that down. Oh, and the Wemo Smart Outlet. Oh, wait, no, sorry, that's anti-Pix. Sorry, I got mixed up on my list. Picture Life, right. Picture Life was this thing where it was like, we do backups, but just for photos.
Oh, yeah.
And it was great. It was a really nice product. The website worked really well. I guess it's been a little bit, sort of put out of business by iCloud Photo Library, but they went out of business way before iCloud Photo Library, which was too bad. That's my womp womp list. I know I have my anti-pick list, and I also have my pick list.
Yes, I would. I don't know if I have any womp womp. I think I picked Meerkat.
Oh yeah.
May that turned into Periscope, turned into neither existing anymore. May they rest in peace. I don't know if there were any others. I mean, most of mine went out of business, but it's mainly because they were fly-by-night companies that had no reason to continue to exist.
Kickstarters. Sean picked What's Applebee's once.
I did
wrote that
pick
down.
WhatsApp. That was a great one. Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of things where it was like I was not going to use it. I just was like, oh, this is interesting. That was the big thing I noticed is it was a lot. My picks were a lot of like physical stuff I bought on Amazon, which in hindsight is like, I bought a lot of stuff. Where's all this stuff gone? Although one that just floated to my mind right now, I didn't write it down, but Dan, was it you who suggested the OXO sauce bottles? Or was that Colby?
That may have been Colby because I'm not satisfied with my sauce bottles.
I have sauce bottles. Do you have the OXO sauce bottles?
Yeah, I bought them based on your recommendation, and I like them. They're good.
Do you, Dan? Or do you have
No,
other sauce bottles?
I need them.
Oh, you should. Yeah,
I
you
should get them.
those.
Maybe I should just get them right now.
Well, listen, we're like UVC here tonight. We're selling all of it. Dan, what is in your
next 30 minutes?
Your anti picks here?
My anti-picks. The MyQ Smart Garage Door Opener.
Aw, that's a shame. I loved mine.
Yeah, but now it's just not going to work, right? Didn't they just like brick it?
Yeah.
But I guess in my pick list is the Tailwind, which is one of two smart home. I think that's right. Or maybe three. I've actually had a good run of smart home things, but one of those smart home things that has never not worked. It just works every time. It's Tailwind Garage Door Opener.
Wow.
Maybe RoboKiller is more womp womp, but RoboKiller was a fun time. The thing where it would answer the phone, but then it was the first time I visited Seattle, and I was trying to get into an Airbnb, and the Airbnb person called me, and then they got stuck in the pain vortex, and then I stopped using it. But it's mostly been you don't need it now with the silence unknown callers switch. Let's see, and the Wemo Smart Outlet, which we talked about. Those are my anti-picks. 50% smart home devices, which is a little interesting.
I was about to say on my list, my smart water sensors. Who made those? iHome smart water sensors. It was a Wirecutter pick. They have gone out of business and now they don't work anymore.
Didn't iHome? Weren't they the people that made the alarm clocks that you could put your iPod into?
That all the hotels still had 30-pin connectors on for a decade? Yes.
Oh,
that company. They also made a limited edition of smart home things.
Wow.
And they went out of business, so they don't work anymore. I'll also throw from 2014 my Casper mattress I bought. In hindsight, bad mattress. Not great. Hurt my shoulder. I had to go replace. I don't know how long after. I had it for a couple of years. I had it for a while. And then I went to the foam spring hybrid, and it was so much better. The pure foam just never did it for me.
My Casper mattress is still going strong 10 years later.
Wow. What a
mattresses are a
divergent.
personal thing. One mattress is not going to work for everyone.
Yeah, I just need something with I'm a side sleeper, need something with a little more support. I was kind of sinking through it, but yeah. Other than that, were there any other anti-picks that were like just huge flops? I'll rest in peace, Dark Sky, which I picked on episode 7.
Yeah.
I do miss that one. That was a great app.
Although,
yeah.
thankfully, the weather app has all of the features I cared about.
Weather app's good now. Like, it's actually pretty... some of the other days, like, I use the AccuWeather app. I'm like, just use the weather app. Like, that's weird.
Yeah, it
And also
has
AccuWeather
everything.
tracks all your locations and sells it for profit. So I don't know why you would do that.
I think the anti-pick that I remember the most is Destiny, that game. People like it, but I was disappointed. I was so excited
Now,
for it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
At what point did you become disappointed with it?
I think like relatively soon. I'm just not a grinder. Like I don't
Right.
like to I don't like to grind. The story, the idea sounded super cool. The reality was something else.
I liked it well enough, but I also wasn't a grinder, and so for both of the games I got to like level 20 or whatever it was, and I had beaten the story and then I just stopped.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not one of those people still playing it 10 years later.
Same. Yeah.
Well, let's get to the pick of picks here.
Picks.
Dan, you've got your list. Why don't you start us off?
I've got a long list. I'll start from the earliest ones. I still use iStat menus every day. I install on every computer. I didn't write down what episode it was, but I picked that early on. My beloved Davik umbrella, which is a very expensive, fancy umbrella.
That's so funny. I clicked on that in the spreadsheet. I'm like, there's no way he still owns this.
Oh yeah.
That's very
In
funny.
fact, I replaced it once because it got stolen at Etsy, and I almost lost it on my third date with Lena, I think, or something like that.
Oh my god.
So no, this umbrella has quite the story. There's a lot of media I still think about all the time. I still think about Grand Budapest Hotel all the time, which Colby picked. Saga, which I still read. Mad Max Fury Road. Amazing. Fast.com. Sean, you picked that. I use it all the time.
Very handy.
My coffee grinder, which is also 10 years old now. I use it every day. It has never given me any problems. It's sort of shocking. The Super Smash Bros. Documentary, which defined like a whole part of my life. AirPods, Roderick Online, talked about that. USPS Informed Delivery, Sean, use it every day.
Classic.
Mobile Passport, Colby, that was prophetic because now you can use Mobile Passport for everything, and it's amazing. Wild Wild Country, Great British Bake Off, Tailscale, amazing. Everyone should use Tailscale. Taskmaster, more people should be watching Taskmaster. Have either of you watched Taskmaster yet?
I watched some of it.
Okay, all right. You didn't become addicted. Colby's wincing.
I'll try it. I've been meaning to get into YouTube. I feel like I should be watching more YouTube than I am.
But that's all I watch these days is YouTube.
Just so you know, Colby, Taskmaster is a TV show that happens to be posted in full on YouTube.
Right.
Okay.
No, I think
It's
I knew
not
that.
like-
It's just
Okay.
I know it's not
Severance,
like
Colby picked. Think about that all the time. Revolutions podcast. I'm almost done with it finally. It's an amazing history podcast. Only Murders in the Building. Excellent TV show. Still think about that all the time. FYI, that actually had a surprisingly large impact on my life, Colby. And Crouton.
what was it?
FYI.
Oh yeah, that was a great one.
BRR.FYI.
That was quite a moment in time. I feel like it's especially meaningful that Bird.FYI is done now. It's completed.
Well, he's still working through his backlog.
Right. But I mean, the journey is completed.
The journey is over.
Survived.
Yeah.
He survived Antarctica. Yeah, that's great.
But it was funny seeing his engineering for slow internets post on Hacker News. Did you were you on Hacker News that day? Or I was like,
Yes.
Burr.fyi was the top story.
Yep, I did. I don't remember if Hacker News is where I saw that to begin with, or if it was like on Macedon or something. I don't remember.
Colby, any picks stand out to you from over the years?
I mean, there's the picks that I miss, like the Pebble. I miss my Pebble. I miss that bank simple, the bank simple.
That was early. That was like in our first 15 or 20 episodes you picked that.
Yeah, it was 2013, I think. And I used it for a long time, right till the end, till they sent my money away. I mean, the Wirecutter, obviously, like indisputable impact on a person's life.
And wallet.
Yeah. Fastmail, I think I picked Fastmail. That was a good one. I still, it's still powering my Colbert.com email address. Yeah.
Colbert.fyi.
Right.
That's awesome. No, those are good picks. And I swear this isn't a pat on the back moment. As I was going through all of my picks I've made over the year, 95% of them I still think are good. Like, there were so few duds, I was surprised. Now, some of them don't exist anymore. I don't use it anymore. But there were very, very few where I'm like, God, I regret picking that, or that's stupid in hindsight, which is good.
You weren't embarrassed.
And no, they're really... I picked Rick and Morty, and that was good for 5 minutes. I read off most of the ones that I still use every day. My Ember mug I use every single day. Dan's shampoo I use every day, and I still like it. And I'll never change because I don't like to change things like that. The night lights in my house I use every single day. It's like a runway when I walk, and my whole hallway lights up. It's awesome. What else? I picked, unfortunately, one that did hit the rest in peace pile, BF Ads, which was my Black Friday deals site I used for a decade. They went out of business, unfortunately, but I picked them, I think, more than once, actually. Overcast is one, again, use every single day. And these are all ones you guys suggested. That's one of the reasons I love doing picks, is because you guys brings things to the surface that I wouldn't have thought of. So, quite a collection of. If you do the math, we've got to be, well, not quite to 1,000, but we've got to be up there, 800, 900 picks, something like that. Pretty darn impressive. Any other thoughts on picks? Should we bring picks back? Does anyone have anything they want to pick tonight?
Far Cry 6. Done.
Yeah!
Get it
gotta
in
check
there.
the box.
I have played it. I don't know if I'll finish it in the next 3 years because it's such a long... Games are so long now. I just don't have the time. I have to go to work.
Bummer. Been a big impact on your life going to work, I know. Well, guys, if I can pick something, I want to pick the fantastic Up for Debate podcast. And there's a reason for that. We just did a new episode. It's going to be up on the feed. We recorded it on July 4th. Very patriotic. And Matt brought a patriotic idea to the show. Would you like to know what it is?
Yes.
We played the classic computer game, The Oregon Trail, on the show.
Nice.
I don't know if you ever played it as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
But you can just play it in the browser now. The original game. We played it. We learned all about American history. There was a great screenshot I took. I'd have to read it because they give you the little, status updates or whatever.
Yeah.
And just the way this one read was so funny. May 1st, 1848, hot dog is well again. One of our characters was Hot Dog. So that was a really fun episode. You should check it out. And I will tease, I try every year to get Sean Tember back. And usually scheduling scraps it. But I want to bring it back this year. And there's a theme. Up for De Eats, a month of delicious delectables. We're going to be talking food for the whole month. And hopefully we're going to get you guys back on so I can send you some food and eat it and talk about it. We're also Matt and I are going to cook some food. It's going to be a lot of fun. So fingers crossed that happens in September, schedules permitting. So great stuff over at UpForDebate.tv or wherever you get podcasts. Of course, our show, don'tpanic.io, you should go there. All the past episodes and links to every pick we've ever had are available on the website. You can check them out. You can go to don'tpanic.io/picks and get This Week in Pickstory, where you can get all the past picks from that week. It's one of my favorite features of the website. Of course, you can subscribe wherever you get podcasts with the video version on YouTube. You can see our beautiful faces. And, of course, you can get a hold of us. don'tpanicshow@gmail.com is our email address. Guys, unless there's anything else, I'll put a pin in here. A look into the past. On behalf of Colby and Dan, I'm Sean. We appreciate being here. We're going to see you next time for another great edition of Don't Panic.